All right, Representative Eric Mortensen here at the rally, the big one they're calling it. It looks like we're going to have several thousand people here, and we're here to do some interviewing of some of the people here to support health freedom. And joining me, first of all, what's your name?
Melissa.
Melissa. Sorry, I got to get used to this.
Melissa.
Melissa, where are you from?
Linwood Township.
Linwood Township. Great. How has this issue affected you?
Well, it's been mandated for both my husband and I. We're both in healthcare, and so he filled out a religious exemption, and thankfully they accepted it. But I was actually let go because I can't wear a mask. I get super lightheaded and pass out, and so I'm not working right now. I'm out of work because I can't wear a mask, and I'm not going to take the jab.
Who is your state senator?
Michelle Benson.
Okay, Michelle Benson. Are you familiar that she has not signed the pledge to actually stop vaccine mandates?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Well, if Michelle Benson were here right now, what would be your message to her?
Please sign. Please protect your constituents. We need you.
Right now I'm joined by, I'm sorry, what is your name? Where are you from?
Anna Tyler. I'm from Chaska, Minnesota.
Got it. Anna from Chaska. So when it comes to this issue of forced vaccinations, how has it affected you in your life?
This affects me just recently because I worked for a pharmaceutical company for the past 8 years, and they of course put in the mandate that most companies are putting out right now, where you got to get vaccinated, show proof, or it's a religious exemption, or and then wear a mask. And I refused. I declined, I should say. Not refusing, I just declined that mandate, and I don't believe that these choices that they gave us were choices at all. They, to me, were ultimatums, and I don't do that, especially when it goes against my own personal medical decisions and opinions. I don't think an employer should be stepping over that line.
Right. So what ended up happening?
They fired me.
They did.
They terminated me as of August 31st. It was just like, hey, you're using the vaccination and you are terminated effective immediately, and that was it.
Wow, that was after 8 years.
Yeah, 8 years with the company, and I'll tell you, I worked for a pharma company, which is totally contradictory of my beliefs and how I feel about pharma companies. And I'll tell you that I solely work there, and I stay there for the customers and our patients. I truly felt that I was placed there to be their advocate, because nobody cares about these people. Nobody. And I worked in the complaints department, so I dealt with all of these patients. I dealt with these customers. I stayed on the phone while they would cry to me because their medication wasn't working, and I don't know, I felt like I was a little bit of a light in their life. And I really loved working there for that reason. And so, as much as I want to put on that brave face and say, I'm so glad I don't work there and blah, 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 I do miss it, because I miss interacting with those people.
Well, and it sounds like some of their customers lost an advocate.
Yeah, I think they did. Not to like toot my own horn or anything, but I really do. I don't know, I feel bad that I'm no longer there and to be that support system for those people, but it is what it is. And I, as much as I cared about those patients, I'm not going to put that over my beliefs and my own opinions about my medical choices.
Yeah. Well, good for you, because I think the more sort of refusal to comply, the more people who are brave enough to do that, that's how we bring this insanity to an end. Who is your state senator?
I believe it's Julia Coleman.
Okay, yep, Senator Coleman. So she has refused to sign this pledge, saying that she'll fight for you and refuse to vote for any legislation until we first stop these vaccine mandates and we nullify Joe Biden's executive orders. So the question I have for you is, if Senator Coleman were here, what would be your message to her?
Simply put, you, ma'am, were put in a position to protect people like us from situations that are going on right now, and I would just urge you to sign this and to be a part of it, and to think morally and ethically and spiritually, if you have that in your system and a part of your life, that there are people in this world that are losing their livelihoods, and I just urge you to sign it. It would be awesome if you could.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Sounds like Del Bigtree is really getting people going, but enjoy the rest of the rally.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Have you talked to Mark Crane about this issue?
Actually, I had seen him. I didn't really have quite the opportunity to ask him about this question, unfortunately.
So I'm curious, if Mark Crane were here, what would be your message to him when it comes to this pledge and this huge issue that brings thousands of people here?
I'd ask him, why aren't you signing this pledge to stop these mandates of requiring us to vaccinate? What happened to our freedoms? What happened to our medical freedoms, our freedoms in general to, have that conversation with our doctors and make a decision that's best for our body, ourselves. But to me, if someone wants to get the vaccine and they feel that's best for them, so be it. But for myself, I don't feel it's best for me. I do have type 1 diabetes, which is considered that bracket where we're at risk, supposedly, but life is a risk.
All right, we're still out here at the rally here. It's a beautiful day, and joining me now, what's your name and where are you from, sir?
Scoggins, and I live in Northeast Minneapolis.
Dan from Northeast Minneapolis. Great. Well, I'm curious, what brings you out here? How has this affected you in your life?
My son, I believe, was vaccine injured, and so he hasn't had a vaccine since he was 2 years old. And at this point, he's fine. But the idea is that I don't think we should be forced to lose our jobs over this or any of the other people I work with. It's important that people have a choice so they can take care of their own families. My body, my choice.
Do you know who is your state senator?
Carrie Dietzick.
Okay. All right. Are you familiar that she has not signed? There's a pledge that legislators can sign that says, hey, we will not support this special session until we first stop vaccine mandates. And she has not signed that pledge. If she were here, what would you tell her?
Oh, sure. Well, I would ask her, if possible, to think of my family, to think of other families, think of other people who have jobs, that this should be up to us to decide how we want to manage our own families and how we take care of our own medical needs.
Yeah, that's great. That's a perfect message. That's exactly what they need to hear so they can stand up and fight, as the people are saying on stage right now. So thank you so much for stopping and chatting with us. Yeah, thank you. Names and where are you from?
Hi, my name is Vanessa.
I'm Tom.
And we are former residents of downtown Minneapolis.
Oh, wow. Now, when did you move out of downtown Minneapolis?
October of 2020.
I kind of figured it would have been, fairly recently. That makes a lot of sense. Have you been affected by these mandates?
We personally have not because we're self-employed, but everybody that we love, right, is being affected by it, whether it's a family member or a friend. And if they're not brave enough to stand up, we will.
Yeah. Well, now I am joined by these three lovely ladies with their awesome signs. What are your names and where are you guys from?
Laura from Esco, Minnesota.
Jill from Woodbury, Minnesota.
And Lori from Stillwater.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming out today. What is it about this issue of medical freedom and vaccine mandates that made you want to come down to the Capitol today?
I've been a nurse. I was a nurse for 15 years. I went into medical sales. I feel so bad right now for the nursing profession in general. I mean, I'm just sad that they've been taking care of COVID patients for 18 plus months, and now they're being mandated. I believe in natural immunity. I had COVID a couple months ago also, and I know I don't want to get the vaccine or the shot, as they call it. I was just mandated 2 weeks ago. I work for Big Pharma, and I have natural immunity that they don't recognize. I believe that if I do get this experimental shot, that there might be some medical complications. So I strongly believe, based on my belief in medical freedom, this is my body, this is my choice.
Yeah, it should be that simple. It's unfortunate that it has gotten to be as crazy as it is. How about you, Jill? What motivates you to come out here? How has this affected you?
I worry about the young. I have children, 4 children, and every day I think I got them clear. They're not going to take the vaccine, and then something else comes up. Their job is mandating it, and I worry about them taking it. They don't want to take it, but they don't want to quit their jobs. So I'm really concerned about the kids and their health.
Well, I'm out here just because I still have a voice. I'm tired of, things happening in our society and in our world, and I've been sitting on the sidelines, with my own thoughts running through my mind. But it's like, what good does it do me to sit on my couch, seeing the fight for freedom around the world? And I just felt that it was important to be present, be down here, and let people know that, we've got a big job ahead of us, and we're fighting for freedom. While we still have a voice, I'm going to speak up.
Yeah, oh, I love that, because we all have our voices, and really the vast majority of the political power resides in you, in the people across the state. We just have to get up and we have to wield that power. And we were talking that your state senator, I think, was Carla Bingham. If she were here, knowing she has not signed this pledge to take any action and to stop this, what would you tell Senator Bingham?
Senator Bingham, we have to stop this madness. We have to fight for freedom. There should be no vaccine mandates. It's still an experimental vaccine. We don't know the safety and side effects. That information will not be coming out for years. We need to protect everyone, especially the medical staff and the children.
Yeah, I love that. Jill, how about you? If your state senator was here, who is your state senator, actually?
Susan Kent from Woodbury.
Oh, okay, Susan Kent, gotcha. If Susan Kent were here, what would you have to tell her?
Well, I would want to know why she hasn't signed it, what her reasons are. It should be our choice whether we get the vaccine or not. So that's the main reason I want to know why she hasn't signed it.
It's as simple as that, really. And then, Lori, I think you said your state senator was Karin Housley. Yeah, if Karin was here.
Yes, I would absolutely ask her, please, represent me and partner with you. Get this bill or this pledge going, make some moves while we still can. And if she hasn't signed, like you said, she hasn't, why not? Why are the Republicans here in St. Paul not teaming up and supporting one another? Why are we not all banding together and fighting for freedom while we still have it?
And we found these fine folks. Yes, sir. What are your names and where are you guys from?
I'm Cheryl Boulay from Isani, Minnesota.
Isani, okay.
Steve Lamont from Rush City, Minnesota.
Rush City? Where are we going?
Jason Shaw from Duluth.
Cool. And you must be from Duluth, too? Got it.
Bo Aubrey from Taconite, Minnesota.
What inspired you guys to come out today and be a part of this Stop Vaccine Mandate rally?
Stopping the mandate, giving us freedom for choice. We got to be in numbers so they show that there's more than just the smoke screen of the media, that there's a whole underlying current of people that aren't being heard.
Yeah. The last one, I think we had like 5,000 people, and the media said there were a couple hundred. Yeah. They're just not afraid to lie.
And that was nurses and doctors, and they put up a fence because they were scared of nurses and doctors, I heard. Yes. The biggest thing is what I look at it. If you go back, just erase this year, and we go back to the seasonal cold, flu, and pneumonia, we never said you had to have a flu shot to go to school, to go shopping, and whatnot. And now more and more information is coming out, and like they said up there, now that they want to give this to a child when they have virtually a 0% chance of dying of the shot or dying of COVID, but the shot is way more problematic, for the hearts and other medical issues from the vaccine. So enough's enough. We can't be silent no more.
Yeah, you can look at the data. The data shows that every year the flu poses more risk to children than COVID-19 has, and we've never done this stuff for the flu, ever. How about you guys? What brings you guys out?
Well, I mean, for me, it's just ultimately there's got to be personal choice, and especially when you got a vaccine that's experimental, right? I mean, it's never actually gone through the studies. And so a lot of people that aren't against this one, it's not like they're against most vaccines. It's just we haven't seen enough safety in this, and we know what our risks are. Like myself, I'm 30 years old, and I was listening to Del Bigtree's show a couple weeks ago. And for instance, my chance of death from COVID are roughly equivalent to my chances of dying from choking to death. Right. Yet I don't carry a blender around everywhere I go to, blend up my food so I don't die from choking to death. It's ridiculous. Everybody's in different circumstances. Yeah. So obviously, if you're old, elderly, and you have some pre-existing conditions and you're scared of it, absolutely, it should be your right to take that product. But it also should be my right to not take that product if I don't believe that I need it.
Are you familiar that Mark Coran has not signed that pledge to actually take action and to stop?
I talked to him at fairs and whatever, and he better. Otherwise, he's going to lose my voice and my vote for him.
Brian Johnson, I think that's probably your state representative, right? Okay, yeah, Brian Johnson. So he's in the House with me. He has also not signed this pledge to stop vaccine mandates. If Brian Johnson were here, what would you have to say for him?
I just ask him to sign anything that is against mandating the shot for any of us. It's a freedom of choice.
Because natural immunity is lasting longer than the vaccine immunity, or the vaccine. Like I said, it's more common than not my wife works at the hospital, and nurses who have the COVID shot are actually getting COVID. So who's going to protect the nurses from the nurses with the shot? I mean, so now, like the state, I have a friend who works for the state in the bridge department, the highway department. They're forcing him to spit in a cup, but then he asked on a Zoom meeting, who's going to protect me against the ones who are vaccinated who are spreading it? He said it's unfair if the vaccinated people don't have to do the same that I, and they're still spreading it. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense to mandate a vaccine that doesn't actually stop people from getting the virus. It makes no sense. Well, thank you guys for coming out today, and enjoy the rest of the rally. All right, right now I am joined by Sarah. Okay, where are you from, Sarah?
Apple Valley.
Ooh, Apple Valley. Okay, I live in Shakopee, not too far apart there. How has this issue affected you that makes you want to come out and get involved in these things?
Well, I just believe it's nobody's business what I do with my body. I don't believe that I co-parent with the government. I have little boys, and Mom runs the show, not the government.
Mom runs the show in my house too. I know what that's like. Who is your state senator? Do you know who that is?
Greg Clausen.
Clausen?
Yes.
Oh, Senator Clausen. Okay, gotcha. Well, Senator Clausen, he has refused to sign this Stop Vaccine Mandate pledge that just simply says during this special session that's supposed to be coming up here in October still, that they're not going to support legislation until we first stop vaccine mandates and further nullify President Biden's national vaccine mandate. If you were here, Senator Clausen, what would be your message to him?
I would just tell him that it's not his business what I do with my body. He does not get to tell me what I can and cannot do. The government works for the people, and it's not the other way around, and I think they need an awakening on that.
Oh. You know, I love the way you put that, and I totally agree. They do need an awakening, and that's largely what we're trying to do tonight, is talk to people and make sure that they know where their legislators stand on this issue and that they can help in that reawakening. So I appreciate you chatting.
Thank you.
What is your name, and where are you from?
Alan, I'm from Roseville.
Great. Alan from Roseville. What brings you out today? Do you know people affected by these mandated vaccinations?
Well, I know it's against a lot of people's freedom of choice. So, I mean, the message for the liberals who are supporting this, so you used to say, my body, my rule. So right now, apparently your body is not your rule anymore. So I just want to ask what's up with that. And I mean, there's a lot of people who are worried about their jobs. They're concerned about this because we think that we should have the freedom to choose what we put into our body. I mean, again, that's like my body, my rule, right? So again, they're not talking about that anymore.
Yeah, that seemed to have just completely evaporated. They don't want to talk about that anymore because now they just want to do whatever they want to your body, and you have no say in the matter anymore, apparently.
Right, and they try to own your body or something, right?
Right. So I'm curious, who is your state senator?
I'm in 66. So that would be John Marty.
Yeah, okay. Senator Marty. Senator Marty has not signed the pledge to stop vaccine mandates before we do anything in this special session coming up here in a couple of weeks. So I'm curious, if Senator Marty were here right now, what would you have to say to Senator Marty?
The state should not implement or enforce a mandate, and we should have the freedom of choice. And you cannot infringe on the freedoms that we have because we're not China, we're not Australia, and we're not North Korea. So, and don't copy the Chinese dictatorship to bring it here. Because my story is that, hey, my parents left China for freedom to come here, right? So, and we definitely don't want to see the Chinese CCP control style to come over here.
I'm joined by Chris and his daughter Bree right now. Where are you guys from?
We're from Roseville.
Roseville. Okay, Roseville's not too far away from here. What brings you guys out? Is there something in particular that makes you passionate about this issue of mandated vaccinations?
What brings me out is Bree and her two sisters and the future that is in store for them if nothing changes.
When I look at my two kids, I feel like it's our job to, and it's every generation's job, to protect liberty for the next generation, and that hits home hardest when it's our kids. So that sounds like that's how you feel?
Absolutely, yeah. This is something that I could ignore up until say, March of 2020, when it was obvious that 15 days to flatten the curve was not going to be 15 days to flatten the curve. And when you give them an inch, they always take 2 miles, not just one.
Who is your state senator, do you know?
John Marty.
Yeah, Senator Marty. So he has refused to sign the pledge to actually stop these vaccine mandates. So if Senator Marty were here right now, what would be your message to him?
Kind of sucks for him that he's refusing to sign that, because formerly apathetic people like myself are now interested in doing everything we can to stop this crap.
Yeah. Wow, so you're the first person to mention that, but that's what I've seen is a huge trend, is this issue has politically awoken thousands and thousands, probably, millions of people across the country for sure, and probably tens of thousands here in Minnesota. So that is, that's something that the politicians should not ignore. Right now I'm joined by Melissa and Ashley here with their awesome sign. Of course, that sentiment seems to be lost by many people for some reason lately. Where are you guys from?
Alexandria, Minnesota.
Oh, Alexandria. There was a global health summit up there yesterday.
Yes.
Oh, you were
yep,
there?
it was amazing. Yep.
Awesome.
We're here to fight the fight.
Good.
Yep.
That's what we need. We need is more people fighting this battle.
Yes.
So how has this issue touched you? I see the scrubs. Are we talking to nurses here?
Yes. Yep, we're hospital nurses. Yep, and I've been a nurse almost 20 years. So, yep.
And so where you work, is there a vaccine mandate coming down the pipe?
We have written a letter, and they have said that they will not make it a mandate, but the more information we're getting, it's getting closer and closer to mandates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. So your livelihood is at stake if they decide to go down this route.
Yep, absolutely.
Got it. All right. Well, we are talking to people about this Stop Vaccine Mandate amendment that we've got that we want to introduce during the special session coming up here later this month, or October actually. And I'm curious, who is your state senator?
Tori Westrom.
Okay, gotcha. So Senator Westrom has refused to sign a pledge that we've got out there to signify to legislative leaders that they don't have the votes for this special session agenda unless they stop vaccine mandates. So if Senator Westrom were here, what would be your message to him?
Please sign that. We need that to go through.
Yeah.
These are our jobs are on the line. Our livelihood. Something I love doing is on the line. So, yes, please sign it.
Ed, what's your name?
My name is Lexie.
Lexie, where are you from?
I'm from Blaine, Minnesota.
Okay, you're from Lexie from Blaine. All right. Well, what brings you out today? What about this issue that makes you so passionate? You want to come out and protest against vaccine mandates?
Yeah, well, the Constitution is the supreme law of the land, and we have a government of law, not of men. And when you crack down a mandate, that's saying we have a government of men, not of laws.
Isn't it amazing how, like 6 months ago, Joe Biden, Nancy Pelosi, their secretary, their press secretary, they all said, we can't do these things. We can't issue national mandates. And then 6 months later, they issue national. So they know it's unconstitutional, but they don't care. They're doing it anyway.
That's absolutely right, yeah. I think people on both sides of the aisle, none of them care about the Constitution. They don't care about the supreme law. They just care about their own position and power.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head there, Lexie. Well, do you know who your state senator is?
Yeah, so I've got Jerry Newton.
Jerry Newton? Okay, so Senator Newton. So Senator Newton has not signed the Stop Vaccine Mandate pledge. So if he were here, what would you say to him?
Yeah, I actually know Jerry Newton well enough to know he would never sign something like that, no matter how many times I asked him. But if he were here anyways, yeah, I would ask him to sign it. This is about principle, not about politics, not about your position. So, yeah, I'd ask him to do it anyways.
Yeah, well, good for you. We should, because this is not a partisan issue. This is not Republicans versus Democrats. This is really the difference between good versus evil at this point. So party politics should be, cast aside at this point. Stacy, where are you from?
I'm from Monaga, Minnesota.
Monaga, Minnesota. Okay.
Finlander town. Yep, northern Minnesota.
Okay, nice. Well, what is it about this issue of forced vaccinations that got you up to come down to the Capitol today? You have any personal stories, or what's the attachment?
Well, I personally don't myself. I have 11 children, so I am just not for anything forced, because whenever something is being forced, it's like he said before, it's not in our best interest. So I believe in personal choice, and I met a lady yesterday in Detroit Lakes who had been injured by the vaccine a few days after she got it, and so she's like, I have a voice. She's like, I am going to tell people that it is not safe. And she also had a daughter that has had 2 miscarriages who has gotten the vaccine, and so I'm like, people need to know what is really going on. It is just being hidden. I mean, I've heard so many stories about, and I watched your nurse's town hall, and I thought it was awesome. I shared it. People just need to know the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm fighting for my kids. That's why I'm here. I'm fighting for my freedom, but for my kids and my grandkids.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah, well, that's why a lot of people have said they're here, is they're fighting for their kids and their grandkids, the future generation. It's incumbent upon us to preserve liberty for them.
Yep, exactly. And where we're headed is toward communism, socialism. I mean, that is just, I mean, if you can't, we've lost all sense of common sense in our country, and that's what I'm seeing. That's why we need common sense people. You know, like, it's really, I don't know, that's all I can, like, how can you not see it? But I know it's power and money. I know that's what it is. So.
Right. Well, who is your state senator?
My state senator is Paul Utke.
Okay. Senator Utke. So Senator Utke has refused to sign the pledge that says he will stop these vaccine mandates during the next special session before he votes for any legislation. So if Senator Utke was here, what would be your message to him?
I would tell him to sign the pledge. I really have a lot of respect for him, and I believe that he would want his constituents to know the truth and to listen to us and to fight for us at the Capitol. And that's what he would be doing by signing the pledge. So totally recommend him to sign the pledge.